I watched that game last night, and no Kawhi and no Chris Paul, and I thought it was one of the best NBA games I've seen. I feel like those are the two best coaches left. Those are the two best teams left. They both played. They played 9 guys, and all of them contributed. I think we're watching the NBA Finals, Cuttino. That's what it feels like to me. Your thoughts?
No, you're right. First of all, how you guys doing?
Great.
You brought up a great point about Chris Paul, and I think he's undervalued with a lot of teams, and I think he's undervalued because he gets hurt a lot. That this series is like a NBA Final series to me.
Yeah.
It's a lot more exciting. I love the Trae Youngs of the world. I just don't believe in Milwaukee at the moment. No disrespect to Milwaukee. But Chris Paul, to me, is like that amazing parent, that amazing teacher, right? And especially during this COVID situation, you value teachers a lot more, especially parents that are at home trying to tutor their children.
Right.
So, Chris Paul, I don't think it's 90%. I think it's literally they're learning how to win. So when I went to the Clippers in 05, 06, there was Elton Brand getting 20 and 10 and Corey Maggette and those guys. They were almost there. But it's just something towards the end of games, 2 or 3 possessions where they're losing, and you're losing 30-something, 40 games because of bonehead plays. And what you do, Colin and Joy, is you psych yourself out, not only in that game, but the next 2 or 3 games ahead. So what I think Chris Paul is doing for these guys is helping them believe, even if it's a 3-year, crazy amount of money for a smaller guard, I think what he's doing is he's helping them learn how to win on a consistent basis. Even if you go, I lose 2 games in a row, Chris Paul comes in, he can reboot the team. And I think that's what the Clippers are missing, where they have that point guard that can really get them under control.
Yeah.
Emotionally, physically, right? Mentally. That's what Chris Paul, top 5 point guard ever to me, that can do for a team. So his value is like unbelievable. He's kind of like the LeBron James of teams. When he goes on a team, the team's amazing.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. The teachers in the pandemic, like we don't give teachers credit until we have a pandemic and you go, oh, wow, teachers are incredibly valuable. It's interesting on the replays at the end of the game. We've been arguing about this morning is, listen, the last 2 minutes take 30 minutes. And I think there should be replay, but used very infrequently. My rule has always been 30 seconds. If you can't see it, then it's just human error. It's got to be an egregious mistake. But as a player, does it, you go from having the momentum in the crowd to sitting around. How do you view replay?
You know what? To me, is when you had the guy on earlier, he made a great point. I think they made that up when they were drinking heavy, some whiskey or cognac or something, smoking cigars. I have no clue because, listen, guys, think about this. When you do the replay and you see that the defender or someone did something prior to the incident, but yet you don't look at that part. You look at the incident itself. That's the weirdest thing to me, right? Like, okay, the reason why the ball went out of bounds is because of this, or the reason why this happened is because of that. But you don't look at that. You look at the moment, right? The situation where the ball's going out of bounds and it went off on Devin Booker's hand, so there was a wrong call. How about the hand check or the grabbing or the whatever it is? Well, my thing is, it's like, if you see something before that, why not call that? So my logic opposed to what they look at on the replay to me is I just don't understand it.
I said, it's funny. I was talking about the Phoenix Suns, and I said, Cuttino, they remind me of that Seahawk team a few years ago, where the Seahawks and the Suns don't have a history of dominating. And then you started watching the Seahawks, and they had this young guy, Russell Wilson, and all their young players peaked at the exact time, and they had this good coach, Pete Carroll, Monty Williams, right? Guy'd been fired, but respected coach, and you have Russell Wilson in your Booker or something, and then all of a sudden you watch Seattle play, and you're like, are they the fastest football team I've ever seen in my life? This doesn't make sense. They were good last year, but all the young players harmonized at the exact same time. You'd listen to that crowd in Seattle, and you're like, you can't beat them at home. You can't. And I watched Phoenix, and I don't think it's lightning in a bottle. I think their young players are all peaking at the exact same time, and the belief system now. I mean, DeAndre Ayton, thinks he's the best big in the league.
Yes.
Did you ever plan a team that was young? Maybe it was the Clippers, and all of a sudden you get into a stretch and players almost play above themselves. That the belief system is so strong, you're willing yourself to wins.
Yeah, and I gave you the Clippers was an example of that, where it's myself and Sam Cassell came in, and the Corey Maggette, who's always a great scorer, and Elton Brands, who was a leader. I think he finished that year second in MVP. I think what it did for them is helped them believe that we are good and we can win, and that mistakes, just like a kid. I'm not calling these guys kids, but it's just like anything, right? Sometimes you have to fail, and while you're failing, you have that mentor, that oracle, whoever it is, that's literally helping guide you through this journey to say, okay, listen, it's okay. It's a moment. Don't make it a year. Okay. Don't make it the whole game. It's just the first quarter. And I think that's what Chris Paul did for a lot of these guys. Also, too, is Devin Booker's coming into his own. He's been my favorite two guard in the league since he came into the league. His footwork and everything that he does. And then you have, and he's just he was trying to find himself. Where do I fit? And I think with Chris Paul coming in, getting easy buckets, and the great thing about Phoenix to me is that you have an amazing point guard and amazing two. When you have two guys that can control the ball at the end of games and can make free throws, that's a very dangerous team.
Ben Simmons can't make free throws. We know. I mean, what do we do in Philadelphia with that situation, Cuttino? What do we do? Because it's a very talented team.
I don't think. Listen, I like Ben Simmons. I got a little slack from his sister on Twitter where I made a comment about Ben a few years back, and she said some stuff. Listen, I would love to help Ben. I'm left-handed. I would love to help Ben. I don't know if Ben's left-handed or if he's literally a right-handed person that's been playing left-handed his whole life. Now, what I've been hearing is that Ben's a little stubborn. He's been babied his whole life, and there's a lot of people out there that's on his team that can't really talk to him. And it's a little bit of an arrogance to it. And I don't know if it's arrogance or embarrassment that he don't want to ask for help. But, I think for Ben and I just don't think they mesh well together. Joel Embiid needs a point guard. The funny thing is, Colin, I think Ben would play better on the Atlanta Hawks and put Trae Young on the Sixers, and the team will be better because Atlanta Hawks has a lot of shooters and dive into the rim guys, opposed to like Joel Embiid, where he dominates the ball as he should because he's so good. But then Ben is more facilitator. I just don't see Ben with the Sixers and Joel Embiid.
Yeah, nor do I. By the way, it's I don't think it'll be nearly as entertaining. Milwaukee looks too big and too physical and too smart and too experienced for Atlanta. I don't think it's a close series. Your thoughts?
I don't know about that. Like I said before, when you have guards that are savvy, smart, and can change the momentum of games, you can't count them out. Milwaukee doesn't have a true point guard. So when things get rattled, there's a problem. And you saw that when Kyrie Irving went down, even though he's not a true point guard, but James, he didn't shoot well. He came back late. But when you have guys that can control the game, Giannis don't control the game. He's a freak of nature, but he doesn't control the game. Trae Young controls the game like he did against the Knicks, like he did against the Sixers. Regardless if he's shooting bad, he went into the fourth quarter, 5 for 16? But he's still dishing out. He's still causing problems. And I think when you have a person like that, and these guys believe Trae Young, right? They'll die with Trae Young. A lot of these guys on that team, that's when you have a trouble, it's troubling for the defense. And, he's not going to shoot bad again. He's so shifty. He passes the ball well, and he makes you stretch the defense all the way out, which gives opportunity to the rest of his team. So I'm not a believer in Milwaukee. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, listen, you're not the only one. All right. Cuttino Mobley, who is always dapper, is always our best dressed guest. Do you ever have a day that you just wear an old T-shirt or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. I just took my T-shirt off to put this on.
Okay. All right. I was going to make sure because you're always the best dressed guy on the planet. Cuttino Mobley, great seeing you, man.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.